What's going on, everybody? Nice little day off. I just recorded a video about Jawan Jennings that you can check out on YouTube.
Everybody. Nice.
And that audio needs to come up. But anyway, Alex Mack, wanted to talk about him because training camp's finally over. I feel that we could really get into some of the intricacies that the 49ers should benefit from this year. And one of them is the new center that they signed. Kyle Shanahan has worked with Alex Mack twice before this stint with the 49ers, once in Cleveland in 2014 and once in Atlanta in 2016. And the results have been remarkable both times with Alex Mack actually on the football team, running a pivotal position of Kyle Shanahan's offense. Back in 2014 with the Browns, before Alex Mack broke his leg, that Cleveland offense actually got off to a great start during that season. They were starting Brian Hoyer. So it gives you an idea of the first foray with Alex Mack. So Kyle Shanahan really fell in love with the center back then. He left to Atlanta, Shanahan did, to take over the offensive coordinator role there after things went sour in Cleveland following that 2014 season. And in 2015 with the Falcons, Kyle Shanahan helmed an offense that was okay, maybe good, not great. And he didn't have Alex Mack in that season in 2015. Now, all of the publicity obviously went toward Matt Ryan and, how long will it take Matt Ryan and the quarterback to pick up Shanahan's system. When Ryan did really pick up the system in 2016 and the Falcons did become a dominant offense, the best one in the NFL, they went all the way to the Super Bowl, obviously held that 28-3 lead. There was less written about another acquisition that was obviously extremely important toward the surge, and that was Alex Mack. See, Shanahan didn't have Mack in 2015, his first year with the Falcons. He did have him in 2016. Fast forward to 2020, 2021, and Alex Mack has now been named NFL Center of the Decade for the 2010s. Nobody questions how dominant this guy was. The problem is that people just don't like to talk about offensive line play unless they're trying to make excuses for their favorite quarterback. So in the case of Alex Mack and the 49ers offensive line, if you're unbiased about this, it's safe to say that line play is extremely important for any quarterback. 49ers offensive line hasn't been good over the course of the past 4 years that Shanahan has been the coach in terms of pass protection. They've been great in run blocking. They've been great with the outside zone. But the problem has come in the realm of pass protection. The reason the 49ers went out and got Alex Mack this offseason, even though he's going to be 36 years old in 2021, I think December is when his birthday is because they needed somebody that could helm both run blocking and pass protection at an elite level, cerebrally. I do not know if Alex Mack is still in his prime physically. In fact, I could probably say he isn't physically in his prime, obviously, as a guy who's 35 going on 36. But Mack has said that he still feels that he's got something left in the tank as far as the ability to play offensive line, get in there against nose tackles, defensive tackles, other big bodies, and physically still impose his will. But what really matters for Shanahan and for the 49ers is the cerebral aspect of the game. The low point of the 2020 season came at Seattle. Remember the loss against the Seahawks where the 49ers gave up a ton of pressure on the interior? It got brutal. And the 49ers aren't shy about saying that the problems in that game started from the center position. That was Hronis Grasu in that game. The 49ers were down to their third or whatever he was, their fourth string center. I lost count last year because of all the injuries. Weston Richburg, obviously, Kyle Shanahan went out and paid him. He thought he was going to be his Alex Mack for the 49ers. That didn't work out due to injuries. But during the 2019 season, when Richburg was healthy, you saw what a good center can do for this offense. It really makes that communication flow up front and makes all the offensive linemen better. Hell, the 49ers were even able to operate with two backup tackles for a lot of their Super Bowl 2019 season and keep on churning forward with a productive offense. And a lot of that credit has to go to Weston Richburg, setting everything up, seeing those safety rotations, identifying the blitzes from that center spot. He got the 49ers in position to block effectively for 14 weeks of that 2019 season. But then Richburg tore his patellar tendon And then he hurt his shoulder while he was rehabbing from that, and he never played it down for the 49ers again. So in that 2020 season, it was just a revolving door, right? You didn't have Richburg. Ben Garland got hurt early on during training camp, and then he re-aggravated his ankle injury later on during the regular season. Daniel Brunskill was an option for the 49ers, but they didn't want to move him away from the right guard position. So they first put Hronis Grasu in at center, and it completely blew up in their faces against Seattle mid-season. The 49ers kept on giving up pressure after pressure, sack after sack on blitzes that Grasu was unable to identify coming up the middle. So the 49ers took an extraordinary step of starting a new center who had never played the position in an NFL game, and that was Daniel Brunskill, on a Thursday after that Sunday Seattle disaster. Normally on a short week, you don't want to install a new center because the position is so complicated cerebrally. But it was so bad with Hronis Grasu that the 49ers felt that they had to do that. So they put in Daniel Brunskill. He did a fine job for the rest of the season. But again, it's the same situation that we see now. Brunskill is going to be the starting right guard for the 49ers in week 1, almost certainly. Brunskill was great playing all kinds of different positions for the 49ers in 2019. This is a guy that is a great utility lineman who, I actually even like in spot duty at tackle because he used to be a former tight end at San Diego State. So he's got that ability to move, and I thought the 49ers really leveraged it in 2019. But with Daniel Brunskill, you want him available for all those positions. You don't want to pigeonhole him at center, even at right guard. That's why the 49ers drafted Aaron Banks, who's obviously hurt and not ready right now. But playing Brunskill at center in 2019 was absolute last resort stuff. So it was imperative for the 49ers to go out and sign a competent center, a veteran, to replace Weston Richburg, to be able to anchor the offensive line this offseason. And that's why Kyle Shanahan went and got his old friend, Alex Mack. Now, what all does the center have to do? Well, I was able to really study this offseason. I talked to Chris Dahlman, former 49ers center back in the Steve Young era, back when the 49ers offensive line was actually undergoing a similar philosophical shift as it is here in 2021. The 49ers are getting a little bit bigger on the offensive line to anchor better against pass protection. I mean, that was the whole idea behind the drafting of Banks. You've seen Mike McGlinchey put on 20 to 25 pounds. Trent Williams obviously is a player who can do both. And the investment in Alex Mack is another example of the 49ers making sure that they're shifting to a multifaceted line, not just a light line that can go and dominate in the outside zone, pull blocking, doing all this kind of stuff. The 49ers need to be able to do both to succeed fully offensively. And the thing about the 49ers in the 1990s is that they went through the same kind of shift when they couldn't beat the Green Bay Packers, when it was Reggie White, Santana Dotson, Gilbert Brown. Remember that big dude, Gilbert Brown, number 93 for the Packers in the middle? He was really, and that unit was really exploiting the 49ers' smaller offensive line, which was so good at moving in space. That was back when Bob McKittrick was the offensive line coach. Well, now Kyle Shanahan, obviously Mike Shanahan was the offensive coordinator too during some of those years. But now Kyle Shanahan, who's taken some of the principles of the smaller offensive line that can move in space, he also realizes that pass protection is going to need to be better, not only for Jimmy Garoppolo, but also for Trey Lance. And the guy who could, be the rising tide that lifts all boats for the 49ers is Alex Mack. Because Alex Mack plays that center position where he has to put his hand down, get ready to snap the ball, take on a 320-pound nose tackle, but he also has to be able to see what the defense is going to do from a pass rush standpoint, because it's the center in the Shanahan offense that takes care of protection. And he also has to be able to see the safety rotations further downfield through a whole bunch of traffic to be able to get the 49ers in the correct run blocking alignments for the outside zone, and also potentially to diagnose some blitzes against the pass game. So there is a whole lot on the plate for the center position, and you could see how Hronis Grasu was overwhelmed. You can see why there was a big drop-off after Weston Richburg got hurt in 2019 that I believe probably cost the 49ers a Super Bowl. I thought they probably would have been able to win that Super Bowl with better play on the interior line. And you can also see why the whole 49ers offensive line and pass protection seemed to be a disjointed mess throughout much of 2020. If you don't have stability at the center position, you probably don't have stability anywhere in a Shanahan offense, even if Trent Williams is your left tackle. He'll do well One-on-one, Trent Williams was okay last year, obviously. The 49ers were happy with his play. They signed him to the record money. But along the other positions of the offensive line, they weren't happy. Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt after Quinnen Williams beat Laken Tomlinson. Obviously, center was a complete disaster, especially in that game against Seattle. Forced the 49ers to move to Brunskill later in the year. And the fact that Brunskill was the center later in the year created a domino effect problem at right guard. You remember the game at New Orleans where he had either Tom Compton or Colton McKivitz rotating through that right guard spot, getting beat time after time again. There was a fourth down against New Orleans where McKivitz just wasn't quick enough against that right guard spot, and the Saints just blew past him at right guard, stuffed the fourth down, and that went to hell. So at right tackle with Mike McGlinchey, who's obviously a fixture piece for the 49ers, they struggled there last year too. He's put on the weight. The 49ers hope that Brunskill can actually, secure right guard until Aaron Banks is ready, if he does become ready in this 2021 season without Brunskill having to move to center. You have Tomlinson at left guard, and you obviously have Williams, all-pro, at left tackle. That means that center is Alex Mack's job. The 49ers obviously are taking a gamble on Alex Mack's age. He is not in his prime physically anymore. The pass protection numbers did drop off with Atlanta this past season, but the hope is that Alex Mack, back in the Shanahan system, is a player who's ready to give the 49ers something big cerebrally that makes everybody else better based on the way that he identifies these blitzes and gets everybody set, and also still has something left in the tank physically. I think that's one of the biggest hinge points of this 49ers season, and I'm extremely excited to see how it actually pans out. We probably won't see too much of Alex Mack, if at all, in this preseason game against the Chargers. We'll probably see him in the dress rehearsal in Week 3 against the Raiders. But guys, this is a huge deal, not only for Jimmy Garoppolo, but also for Trey Lance. Both of these quarterbacks are going to need not only good interior line play, but they're going to need a center that takes a load off of them, a center that knows how to set protections, a center that knows how to help out with the run game by seeing those safety rotations. This is absolutely huge and probably even more important for Trey Lance than it will be for Jimmy Garoppolo, just because Lance is new. Lance is a rookie. Lance is going to need all the help that he can get as far as diagnosing what the defense is doing. So without further ado, let me just tell you, Alex Mack's going to be really important. This is why he was such a huge pickup for the 49ers. All right, I'll talk to you guys next time. Everybody have a great Saturday. Take care.